When you begin your journey, the very first thing you'll notice is not excitement, not applause, not encouragement. It's silence, a heavy, uncomfortable silence. No one is clapping. No one is cheering. No one is asking how they can help. And at first, that silence feels personal. It feels like rejection. It feels like maybe you're not good enough. But listen carefully. That silence is not failure. That silence is the real beginning, because people don't clap for ideas. They don't celebrate intentions. They don't respect plans. They wait. They wait to see if you fail or if you make it. You see, in the beginning, you're invisible. Your dream exists only in your mind. Your vision lives only in your heart. And the world does not reward what it cannot see. You might think your friends will believe in you immediately. You might expect your family to support every step you take. You might assume that passion alone will convince people. But reality hits fast. People trust results, not effort. They smile at success, not struggle. They celebrate the finish line, not the painful miles before it. And when you're struggling, when you're bleeding silently, when you're working 16, 18 hours a day, when you're losing sleep over dreams no one understands, that's when you learn the first brutal lesson of success. Your vision belongs to you, not to them. You can't outsource belief. You can't loan conviction. You can't expect someone else to carry the weight of your dream. If you think someone else is going to push you forward, if you believe motivation will come from outside, you're already halfway defeated. The silence teaches you self-reliance. Because when no one is cheering, you're forced to listen to your own voice. And that voice will ask hard questions. Do you really want this? Are you willing to suffer for it? Can you keep going without validation? Most people quit here, not because the dream is too big, but because the silence is too loud. They mistake silence for rejection. They confuse invisibility with failure. They assume no one believing in them means they shouldn't believe either. But here's the truth. Every great journey starts in silence. Before success becomes noise, before recognition becomes loud, before the world knows your name, there is always a season where you walk alone. And that season is not punishment, it's preparation. You don't need applause at the beginning. You need clarity. Because if you can't move without praise, you won't survive criticism. If you can't work without attention, you won't handle pressure. The silence forces you to answer one important question. Am I doing this for them or for me? Because if your fuel is external, likes, validation, approval, you will run out of energy fast. But if your fuel comes from within, pain, hunger, purpose, nothing can stop you. You see, people are not wrong for doubting you. They're not evil. They're not jealous, at least not always. They're simply busy. Busy fighting their own battles. Busy chasing their own dreams. Busy running from their own failures. Everyone has their own storm. They don't feel the urgency you feel. They don't see the picture you see. They don't lie awake at night replaying your fears. Only you do. So when you share your dream, most people will listen politely, nod their head, and then forget about it. Some will doubt you openly. Some will laugh quietly. Some will pretend to support you, but secretly hope you fail, not because they hate you, but because your ambition threatens their comfort. Your courage reminds them of the chances they didn't take. Your movement exposes their excuses. So they say things like, be realistic, don't take risks, play it safe. What they really mean is, stay where you are. Don't grow too much. Don't remind me of what I didn't become. And if you listen, if you trust their opinions more than your conviction, you'll shrink your dream to fit their comfort zone. You'll play small to keep their approval. You'll settle to avoid judgment. You'll stay safe. And that is the slowest, quietest kind of failure. The silence at the start is dangerous for one reason. It makes you question yourself. And once doubt enters your mind, it starts negotiating your future. Maybe later. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe they're right. No, they don't see what you see. They haven't lived your pain. They haven't felt your hunger. They haven't failed the way you have. So how could they understand? That's why the silence exists. To teach you that belief must come from within. You don't need the world to agree with you. You need you to agree with you. The silence strips away illusion. It shows you who's really with you and who is only there for entertainment. When things get hard, when progress is slow, when results don't show, then most people disappear. And that's okay, because the silence is not emptiness, it's space. Space to build discipline, space to sharpen focus, space to develop resilience. In silence, you learn to work without praise. You learn to suffer without sympathy. You learn to move without permission, and that's power. You see, the world respects results, not effort, not intention, not struggle stories. Until then, you are invisible. So don't expect people to clap for your hard work. Don't wait for encouragement. Don't depend on support. Depend on consistency, because consistency in silence builds monsters. The strongest people are not built on stages. They are built in rooms where no one is watching. Late nights, early mornings, empty messages, ignored calls. That's where champions are born. The silence teaches you patience. It teaches you humility. It teaches you hunger. And hunger is dangerous, because a hungry person doesn't need motivation. They don't need reminders. They don't need approval. They move. So if you're in that silent phase right now, if no one believes in you, if no one is cheering, good. That means you're early. That means you're building something real. Don't rush the noise. Don't chase validation. Don't announce every move. Work quietly. Let the silence toughen you. Let it prepare you. Let it teach you to stand alone. Because one day, if you survive this phase, the silence will break. And when it does, it won't be because you talked. It will be because you proved. At some point in your journey, silence turns into noise, not applause, not encouragement, noise in the form of opinions. Everyone suddenly has something to say. What you should do, what you shouldn't do, why it won't work, why it's risky, why it's unrealistic. And this is where most people lose their way. Because opinions sound confident, they sound logical, they sound like wisdom. But most opinions are nothing more than fear wearing the mask of advice. Here's the truth no one tells you. The reason you shouldn't trust opinions too easily isn't because people are evil. It's because people are busy surviving their own lives. They are fighting their own battles, carrying their own disappointments, living with the weight of dreams they didn't chase. Everyone has scars you can't see. So when they look at your ambition, they don't see possibility. They see risk. They see uncertainty. They see pain they once felt and don't want to feel again. They're not reacting to your future. They're reacting to their past. That's why they doubt you. They don't doubt because they know something you don't. They doubt because your courage reminds them of what they lacked. And courage makes insecure people uncomfortable. When you start building something different, something uncertain, something that doesn't come with guarantees, people panic. Not for you, for themselves. Because your journey exposes their excuses. You say, I'm going to try. They hear, why didn't you? You say, I'm willing to risk failure. They hear, why did you play it safe? So they respond the only way they know how. They tell you to be realistic, but realism is a strange word. Realism is often just a story told by people who stop believing in growth. They'll say, people like us don't do that. No one from here has ever made it. Be practical. Get a safe option. What they're really saying is, stay where you are. Don't change the rules. Don't make me question my choices. And if you trust those voices more than your inner conviction, something dangerous happens. You start shrinking your dream, not all at once, slowly. You reduce your expectations. You delay your plans. You water down your goals. You don't quit. You just settle. And settling feels safe. No one criticizes you. No one laughs at you. No one doubts you anymore. But something inside you starts dying, because deep down you know you traded growth for approval. And approval is the most expensive thing you'll ever buy, because it costs you your potential. This is why trusting opinions blindly is dangerous. Most people don't speak from experience. They speak from fear. They haven't walked your path. They haven't felt your hunger. They haven't seen the vision that keeps you awake at night. So how could they possibly guide you? You see, the world is full of advice givers, very few builders. Advice is cheap. Execution is rare. Everyone can tell you what to do. Almost no one is willing to bleed for it. They'll talk. They'll comment. They'll judge. But when it's time to sacrifice, when it's time to stay late, when it's time to fail publicly, they're gone. That's why opinions should never sit in the driver's seat of your life. Listen, yes. Observe, yes. But decide for yourself, because the loudest voices are rarely the wisest ones. The people who are truly building something meaningful are usually too busy working to criticize. It's the spectators who have the strongest opinions. And spectators don't win games. Another hard truth, people trust results, not process. They don't respect the grind. They don't admire the struggle. They don't care about your consistency until it works, until it pays off, until success becomes visible. Then suddenly, the same people who doubted you say, I always believed in you. No, they didn't. They believed in the result. That's why you must trust your process. Even when no one understands it, your process will look messy. It will look slow. It will look uncertain. And that's okay. Growth is not clean. Transformation is not comfortable. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But most people quit when validation disappears. They quit when progress is invisible. They quit when effort isn't rewarded immediately. That's why trusting your process is a skill. It means showing up even when results don't show. It means working even when motivation disappears. It means believing even when logic says stop. And belief is not blind hope. Belief is commitment. Commitment to improve daily. Commitment to learn from failure. Commitment to stay when others walk away. The moment you stop seeking approval, you become dangerous. Because now no one can control you with doubt. You don't need permission. You don't need reassurance. You don't need validation. You move anyway. People will call you stubborn. They'll call you obsessed. They'll call you unrealistic. Smile. That's what people say when they can't understand your discipline. You see, most people want motivation. Very few want responsibility. And trusting your process means taking full responsibility, no excuses, no blaming others, no waiting for perfect conditions. You own the outcome, good or bad, and that's empowering, because now success is in your hands. Failure doesn't scare you anymore. Criticism doesn't stop you anymore. Silence doesn't break you anymore. You understand something most people never will. Progress happens quietly. No one sees the early mornings. No one sees the late nights. No one sees the self-doubt you fight every day. They only see the result, and that's fine. Let them. You're not building for applause. You're building for freedom. Freedom from limitation. Freedom from fear. Freedom from living a life designed by other people's expectations. So the next time someone doubts you, the next time someone questions your path, the next time someone tells you to slow down, don't argue, don't explain, don't convince. Just work. Let your process answer for you, because the strongest response to doubt is consistency. And consistency over time becomes confidence, not just for the world, but for you. And once you trust yourself, once you trust your process, no opinion can stop you. There comes a moment in every serious journey where something changes. Not outside, inside. You start thinking differently. You start moving differently. You start wanting more than what's normal around you, and that's when the loneliness begins. At first, you don't notice it. You're too focused on building, too busy learning, too determined to quit. But slowly, conversations change. Messages get shorter. Invitations stop coming. People don't say anything directly. They don't attack you openly. They just drift away. And that hurts. Because you didn't leave them. You didn't betray anyone. You just decided to grow. And growth makes people uncomfortable. When you start talking about vision, freedom, impact, legacy, people look at you like you're speaking a different language. They say things like, "You've changed. You're not the same anymore. You're too serious. You think you're better than us now." But listen carefully. You didn't change. You outgrew. And not everyone is meant to grow with you. This is one of the hardest truths to accept. The people who are closest to you at the start are not always the ones who will be there at the finish. Not because they're bad people, but because your journey demands a version of you they can't relate to. Your discipline makes them feel lazy. Your ambition makes them feel small. Your focus makes them feel exposed. So instead of rising, they criticize. Instead of growing, they judge. They'll say you're chasing the impossible. They'll remind you that no one from here has ever done it. They'll tell you to slow down, not because they know better, but because your movement threatens their comfort. Comfort loves company. And when you leave comfort behind, you leave people behind too. That's when loneliness becomes real. You sit in rooms full of people and feel completely alone. You realize you can't talk about your goals anymore. You can't share your excitement. You can't explain your sacrifices because they don't get it, and that's okay. Greatness has always been lonely. Every person who ever did something extraordinary walked alone for a long time. Before the applause, there was isolation. Before the recognition, there was rejection. Before the success, there was silence. The path upward narrows. Fewer people are willing to climb. Fewer people are willing to risk falling. So naturally, the higher you go, the fewer people you'll see. And most people quit not because the path is too hard, but because they can't handle the loneliness. They mistake loneliness for failure. They think, if I were doing the right thing, I wouldn't feel this alone. That's wrong. If you're lonely, it might mean you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. Because comfort is crowded, but growth is quiet. Loneliness forces you to confront yourself. No distractions, no noise, no validation, just you and your thoughts. And that's uncomfortable because in loneliness, excuses don't survive. There's no one to blame, no one to hide behind, no one to impress. You either face your weaknesses or you run back to comfort. Most people run back. They lower their standards. They water down their dreams. They return to familiar conversations. Not because it's better, but because it's easier. But if you stay, if you endure the loneliness, something powerful happens. You become self-reliant. You stop needing permission. You stop seeking approval. You stop explaining yourself. You move in silence. And silence is dangerous because people can't stop what they can't see. You begin to trust your own judgment, your own instincts, your own rhythm. You learn to make decisions without consensus. And that's leadership. Leadership is lonely. There's no crowd at the front. There's no map. There's no guarantee. Just direction. And direction is enough. People will still talk. They'll label you. They'll misunderstand you. They'll reduce your ambition to arrogance. Let them. They don't see the nights you fight doubt. They don't see the sacrifices you make. They don't see the fear you push through daily. They only see the distance growing between you and them. And instead of asking how to grow, they ask why you left. But you didn't leave. You evolved. You see, when you choose growth, you choose discomfort. You choose doubt. You choose fear. You choose uncertainty. That's the price. And most people are unwilling to pay it. They want results without sacrifice, confidence without failure, success without loneliness. That's not how it works. Every level demands a new version of you, and the old version can't come with you. That includes habits. That includes beliefs. And sometimes that includes people. This doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you cut everyone off. It means you stop expecting them to understand. You stop needing them to approve. You stop explaining your journey to people who aren't walking it. You protect your energy, because energy is everything. Give it to the wrong people, and you'll feel drained. Protect it, and you'll feel powerful, even alone. You start realizing something important. You don't need a crowd. You need clarity. One clear reason, one clear direction, one clear commitment. That's enough. Most breakthroughs happen in isolation, when no one is watching, when no one is cheering, when no one cares. That's where discipline is built. That's where focus is sharpened. That's where identity is forged. Alone doesn't mean abandoned. Alone means undistracted. And undistracted people build empires. So if you feel lonely right now, if your circle is shrinking, if your path feels quiet, don't panic. You're not losing people. You're shedding weight. And weight slows you down. You're becoming lighter, faster, stronger. The higher you rise, the fewer voices you hear, until eventually the only voice left is yours. And that's the voice that matters. Because when everything falls apart, when plans fail, when support disappears, you still have yourself, your discipline, your vision, your hunger. That's enough to keep going. Greatness is lonely, but regret is worse. So walk alone if you must. Move quietly if you have to. Because one day when your work speaks, the silence will break. There will come a time in your journey when everything gets quiet again. Not the silence of the beginning. This silence is different. This silence comes after effort, after sacrifice, after you've already given so much. This is the silence that hurts the most, because now you expected better. You thought by now someone would understand. You thought by now someone would stand with you. You thought by now the world would at least acknowledge your effort. But instead, people leave. Messages stop coming. Support fades. Faces disappear. No arguments. No explanations. Just distance. And in that moment, your mind becomes your biggest enemy. You start questioning everything. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe they were right. Maybe this path isn't for me. This is the most dangerous phase of the journey. Not because you're weak, but because you're tired. Tired of believing alone. Tired of carrying everything by yourself. Tired of fighting without witnesses. This is where most dreams die, not from failure, from abandonment. But listen carefully. The fact that the world walks away does not mean you were wrong. It means you've reached a level where only self-belief can carry you forward. You see, support is temporary. People change. Emotions fade. Circumstances shift. Even the ones who swear they believe in you can walk away tomorrow. That's not betrayal, that's reality. And once you accept this truth, you become dangerous. Because now, your belief is no longer dependent on people. It's rooted inside you, deep, unshakable. Most people build their confidence on applause. That's why they collapse in silence. They need validation to move. They need reassurance to continue. They need permission to grow. But when the world walks away, you're given a choice: quit or evolve. If you quit, you return to comfort. People welcome you back. They say, "It's okay, at least you tried," and slowly regret replaces pain. But if you evolve, if you keep moving without witnesses, you develop something rare: self-trust. And self-trust is stronger than motivation, because motivation fades, belief doesn't. Belief says, "I will move even if no one is watching. I will build even if no one cares. I will finish what I started, even alone." That's when you stop announcing your plans. You stop explaining your vision. You stop defending your choices. You just move. Silently, relentlessly. You understand something powerful: results are the loudest explanation. The world doesn't owe you belief. No one is responsible for your dream. That responsibility belongs to you. And once you stop expecting support, you stop being disappointed. You become free. Free from opinions. Free from approval. Free from fear of being misunderstood. Because now you know the only validation that matters is the one you give yourself when you refuse to quit. There will be nights when doubt sits beside you, quiet, heavy. You'll replay conversations, remember faces, feel the absence, and you'll wonder why it's so hard to keep going when no one believes. But those nights are not meant to break you. They're meant to build you. Pain teaches lessons comfort never could. Every rejection sharpens your mind. Every betrayal strengthens your boundaries. Every failure forces growth. You stop being naive. You stop trusting words. You start trusting behavior. You observe who shows up when you're struggling. And you remember not to hate them, but to learn. So next time you don't give your energy to the wrong people. Next time you walk alone and feel powerful, not abandoned. Because loneliness with purpose is better than company without direction. The world respects results. Until then, you're invisible. That's not cruelty. That's reality. So stop expecting cheers for effort. Effort is personal. Results are public. Your job is not to convince people. Your job is to execute. There is no map, no shortcut, no mentor who can walk the path for you, no book that can bleed in your place. Advice is everywhere. Execution is rare. Everyone can talk. Very few can endure. That's why when everything falls apart, when plans fail, when people disappear, you must still move. Not because they believe, but because you do. This is the final mental shift. You stop proving people wrong. You start proving yourself right. You show up on days you don't feel strong. You work when motivation is gone. You build when progress is invisible. And slowly something changes. Not outside. Inside you become solid, unshakable. You no longer fear abandonment because you've learned to stand alone. You no longer chase validation because you've built self-respect. You no longer need noise because silence has trained you. People will eventually notice. Success has a way of making people remember. Some will say they always supported you. Some will act like they knew it all along. Most will just forget the journey. And that's fine. You didn't build for recognition. You built for freedom. Freedom from doubt. Freedom from limitation. Freedom from a life controlled by other people's opinions. So when they finally ask, "How did you do it?" you don't explain. You don't brag. You just smile and say, "I didn't wait for anyone to believe in me. I believed in myself." Because at the end of the day, people come and go. Support fades. Opinions change. But if you trust your gut, your grind, your vision, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not rejection, not silence, not even the world walking away. This is the power of self-belief. This is the strength built in isolation. This is what it means to finish what you started.